A chronological Bible in 365 episodes. This is episode 44, continuing with Exodus 37. Then Bezalel made the ark of acacia wood. 2.5 cubits was its length, 1.5 cubits was its width, and 1.5 cubits its height.
He overlaid it with pure gold inside and outside and made a molding of gold all around it.
And he cast for it 4 rings of gold to be set in its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other side of it.
He made poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with gold.
And he put the poles into the rings at the sides of the ark to bear the ark.
He also made the mercy seat of pure gold. 2.5 cubits was its length, and 1.5 cubits was its width.
He made 2 cherubim of beaten gold. He made them of one piece at the 2 ends of the mercy seat.
1 cherub at one end on this side, and the other cherub at the other end on that side. He made the cherubim at the 2 ends of one piece and a mercy seat.
The cherubim spread out their wings above and covered the mercy seat with their wings. They faced one another. The faces of the cherubim were toward the mercy seat.
He made the table of acacia wood. 2 cubits was its length, 1 cubit its width, and 1.5 cubits its height.
And he overlaid it with pure gold and made a molding of gold all around it.
Also he made a frame of a handbreadth all around it, and made a molding of gold for the frame all around it.
And he cast for it 4 rings of gold, and put the rings on the 4 corners that were at its 4 legs.
The rings were close to the frame as the holders for the poles to bear the table.
And he made the poles of acacia wood to bear the table, and overlaid them with gold.
He made of pure gold the utensils which were on the table, its dishes, its cups, its bowls, and its pitchers for pouring.
He also made the lampstand of pure gold. Of hammered work he made the lampstand. Its shaft, its branches, its bowls, its ornamental knobs, and its flowers were of the same piece.
And 6 branches came out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of another side.
There were 3 bowls made like almond blossoms on one branch, with an ornamental knob and a flower, and 3 bowls made like almond blossoms on the other branch, with an ornamental knob and a flower, and so for the 6 branches coming out of the lampstand.
And on the lampstand itself were 4 bowls, made like almond blossoms, each with its ornamental knob and flower.
There was a knob under the first 2 branches of the same, a knob under the second 2 branches of the same, and a knob under the third 2 branches of the same, according to the 6 branches extending from it.
Their knobs and their branches were of one piece. All of it was one hammered piece of pure gold.
And he made it 7 lamps, its wick trimmers, and its trays of pure gold.
Of a talent of pure gold he made it, with all its utensils.
He made the incense altar of acacia wood. Its length was 1 cubit, and its width 1 cubit. It was a square, and 2 cubits was its height. Its horns were of one piece with it.
And he overlaid it with pure gold, its top, its sides all around, and its horns. He also made for it a molding of gold all around it.
He made 2 rings of gold for it under its molding, by its 2 corners on both sides, as holders for the poles with which to bear it.
And he made the poles of acacia wood, and overlaid them with gold.
He also made the holy anointing oil and the pure incense of sweet spices, according to the work of the perfumer.
He made the altar of burnt offering of acacia wood. 5 cubits was its length, and 5 cubits its width. It was square, and its height was 3 cubits.
He made its horns on its 4 corners. The horns were of one piece with it, and he overlaid it with bronze.
He made all the utensils for the altar, the pans, the shovels, the basins, the forks, and the fire pans. All the utensils he made of bronze.
And he made a grate of bronze network for the altar, under its rim, midway from the bottom.
He cast 4 rings for the 4 corners of the bronze grating as its holders for the poles.
And he made the poles of acacia wood and overlaid them with bronze.
Then he put the poles into the rings in the sides of the altar, with which to bear it. He He made the altar hollow with boards.
He made the laver of bronze and its base of bronze from the bronze mirrors of the serving women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle of meeting.
Then he made the court on the south side. The hangings of the court were of fine woven linen, 100 cubits long.
There were 20 pillars for them, with 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver.
On the north side of the hangings were 100 cubits long with 20 pillars and their 20 bronze sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver.
And on the west side there were hangings of 50 cubits, with 10 pillars and their 10 sockets. The hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver.
For the east side the hangings were 50 cubits.
The hangings of one side of the gate were 15 cubits long, with their 3 pillars and 3 sockets.
And the same for the other side of the court gate. On this side and that were hangings of 15 cubits, with their 3 pillars and their 3 sockets.
All the hangings of the court all around were of fine woven linen.
The sockets for the pillars were bronze, the hooks of the pillars and their bands were silver, and the overlay of their capitals were silver, and all the pillars of the court had bands of silver.
The screen for the gate of the court was woven of blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen. The length was 20 cubits, and the height along its width was 5 cubits, corresponding to the hangings of the court.
And there were 4 pillars with 4 sockets of bronze. Their hooks were silver, and the overlay of their capitals and their bands were silver.
All the pegs of the tabernacle and of the court all around were bronze.
This is the inventory of the tabernacle of the testimony, which was counted according to the commandment of Moses, for the service of the Levites by the hand of Ithamar, son of Aaron, the priest.
Bezalel, the son of Uri, the son of Hur of the tribe of Judah, made all that the Lord had commanded Moses.
And with him was Holib, the son of Ahisamach of the tribe of Dan, an engraver and designer, a weaver of blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and fine linen.
All the gold that was used in all the work of the holy place, that is, the gold of the offering, was 29 talents and 730 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary.
And the silver from those who were numbered of the congregation was 100 talents and 1,775 shekels, according to the shekel of the sanctuary.
A bekah for each man, that is, half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary, for everyone included in the numbering from 20 years old and above, for 603,550 men.
And from the 100 talents of silver were cast the sockets of the sanctuary, and the bases of the veil, 100 sockets from the 100 talents, 1 talent from each socket.
Then from the 1,775 shekels he made hooks for the pillars, overlaid their capitals, and made bands for them.
The offering of bronze was 70 talents and 2,400 shekels.
And with it he made the sockets for the door of the tabernacle of meeting, the bronze altar, the bronze grating for it, and all the utensils for the altar.
The sockets for the court all around, the bases for the court gate, all the pegs for the tabernacle, and all the pegs for the court all around.
Of the blue, purple, and scarlet thread they made garments of ministry for ministering in the holy place, and made the holy garments for Aaron, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
He made the ephod of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen.
And they beat the gold into thin sheets and cut it into threads, to work it in with the blue, purple, and scarlet thread and the fine linen into artistic designs.
They made shoulder straps for it, to couple it together. It was coupled together at its 2 edges.
And the intricately woven band of his ephod that was on it was of the same workmanship, woven of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of fine woven linen, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
And they set onyx stones enclosed in settings of gold. They were engraved as signets are engraved with the names of the sons of Israel.
He put them on the shoulders of the ephod as memorial stones for the sons of Israel, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
And he made the breastplate, artistically woven like the workmanship of the ephod, of gold, blue, purple, and scarlet thread, and of a fine woven linen.
They made the breastplate square by doubling it. A span was its length, and a span its width when doubled.
And they set in it 4 rows of stones. A row with a sardius, a topaz, and an emerald were the first row.
The second row, a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond.
The third row, a jacinth, an agate, and a amethyst.
The fourth row, a beryl, an onyx, and a jasper. They were enclosed in settings of gold in their mountings.
There were 12 stones according to the names of the sons of Israel, according to their names, engraved like a signet, each one with its own name according to the 12 tribes.
And they made chains for the breastplate at the ends, like braided cords of pure gold.
They also made 2 settings of gold and 2 gold rings, and put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate.
And they put the 2 braided chains of gold and the 2 rings on the ends of the breastplate.
The 2 ends of the 2 braided chains they fastened in the 2 settings, and put them on the shoulder straps of the ephod in the front.
And they made 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 ends of the breastplate, on the edge of it, which was on the inward side of the ephod.
They made 2 other gold rings and put them on the 2 shoulder straps underneath the ephod toward its front, right at the seam above the intricately woven band of the ephod.
And they bound the breastplate by means of its rings to the rings of the ephod with a blue cord, so that it would be above the intricately woven band of the ephod, and that the breastplate would not come loose from the ephod, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
He made the robe of the ephod of woven work, all of blue.
And there was an opening in the middle of the robe, like the opening in a coat of mail, with a woven binding all around the opening, so that it would not tear.
They made on the hem of the robe pomegranates of blue, purple, and scarlet, and of fine woven linen.
And they made bells of pure gold, and put the bells between the pomegranates on the hem of the robe, all around between the pomegranates.
A bell and a pomegranate, a bell and a pomegranate, all around the hem of the robe, to minister in, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
They made tunics, artistically woven of fine linen, for Aaron and his sons.
A turban of fine linen, exquisite hats of fine linen, short trousers of fine linen.
And a sash of fine woven linen with blue, purple, and scarlet thread, made by a weaver, as the Lord had commanded Moses.
Then they made the plate of the holy crown of pure gold, and wrote on an inscription like the engraving of a signet, Holiness to the Lord.
And they tied to it a blue cord to fasten it above on the turban, as the Lord had commanded Moses.